I really want to know how you got into the DAO space. So ladies first, we'll start off with Betty.
Beth. Hi, I'm Beth Hochberger, CPA, CGMA.
Anyways, so today we're going to be talking about the future of communities, which is DAOs. A lot of you guys probably know that, or they've been saying on crypto Twitter that this is the year of the DAOs. So this is a really exciting panel. I'm excited to hear from different thought leaders in the Web3 space, in the DAO space especially. And myself, I'm actually the head of community at Upstream. We're a no-code solution to start a DAO, so I've been in the DAO space for this past year. So I'm excited to jump in as well. So let's go ahead and just do some intros. And instead of like asking the general question, like, hey, tell me about yourself, I really want to know how you got into the DAO space. So ladies first, we'll start off with Betty.
Beth. Hi, I'm Beth Hochberger, CPA, CGMA. I run a boutique CPA firm, and we've actually been working with technology companies for years. So we've done Web 1, Web 2, and now the natural evolution is into Web 3, which has brought us into the DAO space.
Yeah!
Ooh, amazing. All right, Jared.
I was just checking to see if there are any other women, but I guess I'm the next woman in line. So my name is Jared Blake Dam, attorney at law. I'm with the Berman Law Group out of Boca Raton, Florida. So also known as the TBT, the Berman team. So the firm was pretty much built on personal injury. You probably see the two gorgeous looking twin brothers out there. Not me, wish I had their bankroll. But I do the corporate business, commercial litigation, transactional work, and I got into the Web3 space, crypto, NFTs. Probably, I have to go back as far as, the whole social media, social network Winklevoss concept, which really, like, what is this thing? But I must, and I'll put a caveat or footnote. I'm supposed to be short, right? Okay, footnote is that I'm still learning and educating just as much as you guys are learning and educating in terms of where things are on a daily, weekly, monthly basis in this world, even from the legal sphere. So my core stuff is harnessed in corporate structure, asset protection, commercial transactional, which flows into the DAO, and I'll focus a lot of my stuff on Wyoming-based. That being said, I've already taken too much of your time, so I'm going to turn it over to Brandon.
Good morning, guys. My name is Brandon Ginsberg. I'm the CEO of Palm Tree NFT. We do NFT project creation, specializing in development and smart contracts. I got into crypto, honestly, feels like a long time ago, because it was a long time ago. It was in 2010. Originally with Bitcoin, and obviously now with Ethereum and a lot of the other smart contract networks that are out there. But yeah, I've been involved with DAOs a lot more recently, always trying to experiment with a lot of the newer technologies and newer systems, and a lot of no-code solutions that are actually coming up now. It's fascinating to see the development of everything since 2010. So just constantly evolving and learning more about the different tools that are out there, for DAOs in particular.
I'm Benito. I'm an OG Web 2 guy. I'm talking Windows 98, Microsoft Flight Simulator. I set up Google Maps in 2010, and now we're doing the same exact thing, but we have cooler technology with drones and AR. But I didn't start thinking about the floor of the DAO until I was at Gabe Higgins' Block Space's grand opening. I think it was in 2018 or 2017 in South Tampa, where I realized the technology is here for a better future. I'm just tired of being lied to, tired about them lying about what's in the soil, what's in the water, what's in the air. And public ledgers and smart contracts are the tools that can defeat tyrannical governments forever. So welcome to the innovation revolution and economic renaissance.
Yeah.
Awesome, I love that. So Brandon, let's go ahead and kick off. Before we get into the juicy stuff, I really want to know, what is a DAO or a DAO?
So I'm assuming most people here probably already know the basics of a DAO, decentralized autonomous organization. If you don't, basically what it is traditionally organizations. They have an LLC, they're associated with a government entity, they're registered, there's a lot of formality behind it, but more importantly, there's a lot of hierarchy behind it. So there's a CEO, there's a CFO, they traditionally are the ones who are controlling finances. With a DAO, everyone has the opportunity to voice their input. Everyone has control, in a certain sense, over the treasury of the organization. It's a more flat organization. So everyone has, in some cases, an equal share of the actions of that DAO.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, you can.
I was like, do you want me to add? I can add. I don't know. I may go off on the deep end here. No, I had, what is this stuff here? Odysseys? Soft promotional play plug. Very good. I go with the passion fruit. Second one today. So Brandon's right. I mean, and I'll go into the you know, listen, it's all cloaked, or the core stuff is definitely corporate business, you know, structure when you look at it. The DAO today, you know, it's ultimately, you know, from an autonomous standpoint, it's to be run by, you know, the smart contracts, the people who are added in as members, let's say, of your LLC. But it's still, I don't want people to get the wrong idea. You know, you have, I'll go to Wyoming, there's another 2 or 3 states that are on the forefront, but the Wyoming law that I focus on, in which I could, you know, get an LLC for a DAO straight up incorporated in 24 hours, and most likely have your operating agreement if you really want to go full force in 5 days, bank accounts and everything. You know, it's only as good as the people that are actually setting up. People think about this, you know, this hiding behind the, you know, oh, because I'm on the blockchain, everything is public knowledge, but I can hide behind this stuff with privacy. Listen, privacy today is important, even in brick and mortar, you know, LLCs and corporations that you start up. You want the privacy. But what I tried to preach in terms of, we could set up your DAO, we could educate you on how to utilize it properly, but no matter what, when push comes to shove, for anybody starting a business who is willing to take a chance with their life savings, other investors' money, putting themselves out there, it's protecting yourself through the other mechanisms that are in the quote-unquote real world, meaning making sure that your estate is bulletproof, making sure you have other asset protection stuff in place. Now, that's shifting from the concept of for a moment, on the DAO and protecting yourself, but the DAO allows the people, as many people you want in terms of how you set up your actual organization, to become a part of your DAO and essentially vote on various related issues, you know, using the smart chain and blockchain and essentially how you want to run it. So the simplest form is like the pizza DAO. I got no love from the pizza DAO guy out there. What do you, there you
Where's
go.
the pizza DAO?
The pizza DAO, where are you?
Ooh, oh, I want
What
some
did you do
pizza.
in bed? There we go. So the simplest form, and then I'm going to pass it over to Beth because I feel like I'm already seeing the clock go with my ADHD just spiraling out of control here. Get one of these Odysseys right here. So going back to real quick, the corporate structure, you know, it's really stems from core corporate, you know, LLC formation, but you're going to have this autonomous feature in it where people are going to be able to see how people vote based upon the smart chain blockchain. It's going to be embedded, and they're going to have a right based upon their proportional value that they purchase into the LLC. So, I mean, I could go on for hours, you know, if you want, we can talk about it. I don't have a Twitter, I do have Instagram, but we can get it there.
Yeah. So actually, I did want to go back to the basics here. So in short, DAOs are the future of communities, right? And it's a community with a shared wallet. So once you're dealing with people's money, you really need to be secure, and that's why, you know, Jared's here talking about the legal status and all of that. But I did want to understand a little bit more about how DAOs work and how it's impacting Web3 today. So a question I did have for you guys is, how are DAOs solving real world problems today in your eyes?
I'd like to jump in on this. Before we understand exactly what the DAO is, but understand why. And it's to optimize life, optimize the system. It's to take an old, outdated, inefficient system that's wasting money and then make a good system work for people. The ultimate utility. The ultimate utility is to fortify our food supply. The ultimate utility is to clean our soil, to clean our air, to have things in our life that optimize our life. If you are under 40 in this room, you have a chance to live 120 years with what's going on right now. This is my 40th birthday this week, so thank you for showing up here.
Ooh, happy birthday!
And I'm here to tell you that there's a better life, so I want to understand 2 definitions quickly. The difference between tokenomics and tokenology. Tokenomics is taking a coin and manipulating the value to make it worth something. Okay, that's nothing new. They've been doing that forever. Tokenology is taking a blockchain system and optimizing life with it and how it can fortify humanity. So yes, there is a technical definition of what a node and a link is. But your heart is a node. Your brain is a node. And how you operate with each other is Web 3 and Web 5. That's my answer.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
I could give maybe some examples of other DAOs that are out there today. So a good example actually is Grailers DAO. It's a generative art DAO, and the mission is basically to collect what's called grails in generative art, basically, you know, high-profile pieces from high-profile artists. So as an example, the way it originally started was there's an artist named Tyler Hobbs. He's pretty popular. He made projects called Fidenza and Complete Control, and the goal was to collectively, as an organization or as a DAO, own as many of these pieces as possible, because individually we might not be able to own these pieces. They're hundreds of thousands of dollars. I know at least I'm not personally going to be able to buy all these different pieces alone, but when you come together as a group with a mission and a purpose, you're able to put your money into a DAO or into a treasury that's controlled by the members of the DAO. And again, what's great is that there's no CEO, there's no CFO. Everybody is able to propose actions and resolutions to the DAO. And it's not just the C-level, the C-suite people who are in charge of that treasury. So the group can come together and say, hey, we want to invest our money this way or that way. And it allows people to participate when in traditional organizations there might not be that level of participation from all of the members. It also provides for transparency, right? So there's no, obfuscation of funds. There's no bank account that's only controlled by the CEO and the CFO. In a DAO, or at least in most DAOs, the way I recommend building them, there's a transparent treasury where every member has access to seeing who has access to the treasury, what the history of funds has been, where the funds are coming from, and so on and so forth.
Awesome, yeah, and I did want to make put an emphasis on like a shared mission, right? So when you have a shared mission with a group of really talented people bringing value, then you can really make anything possible. And how many of you guys have heard of Constitution DAO? Constitution DAO? So that was really incredible. I would recommend looking it up on Twitter or even on the internet. Constitution DAO, people literally came together with the shared mission of buying the Constitution. I don't know how possible that really is in the legal side of things, but everyone was donating and they raised, what, like $17 million, something crazy like that. So that's another way you can actually add value through the DAO, right? So besides raising money, you can also have a social club. So you're with your friends, you guys want to go out to dinner, that's called a social DAO. Or if you're with your friends and you want to invest, buy different NFTs, Bored Apes, whatever, they're a little bit expensive, then you can do an investment club too. So I do want to get into the topic of like the different types of DAOs. But before we do that, I do want to know like what we should prepare before we start a DAO. And Betty, that's a question for you.
So the thing I think that's important to understand with a DAO is it is new and sexy, but you're really creating an entity, which is not a new concept. And are there any founders out here, anyone who started anything and not necessarily in Web3? Okay, so it's a lot of work, right? And you often think, oh, wouldn't this be great if I had other people who saw the same vision that I did and they can all come and they can share in the running of it and the administration and have a say. That sounds all fine and good, but at the end of the day, if you have no consensus, it's very hard to operate, right? So I always say to people starting a new entity, why? Why are you doing this? Why are you setting up a DAO? Do you need to set up a DAO? And it might be the perfect entity for you. And you might say, you know what? I don't want 200 of my closest friends all around the world to have to get a tax form in April and have to track all those people down who weren't expecting to be in that situation. It's not always going to be perfect. So what you really need to do if you're thinking about going down this path is you need to talk to an attorney, you need to talk to an accountant, because especially if you've not set up any kind of entity before, you probably don't know what you're getting into. And as Jared said before, No, this is brand new. This is bleeding edge. The IRS, I'm sure everyone heard, there's 87 new agents coming to get you. The IRS is still working on 3 years ago. They are not up to date. They don't know what's going on. They definitely don't know what's going on with DAOs. And they definitely don't know what's going on with your crypto. So there's so many questions. We don't have all the answers. We don't know. We're kind of relying on traditional models to influence how we are able to advise. But you really have to educate yourself. Don't think like I'm on the blockchain, nobody knows, no one's gonna find me. They're gonna find you eventually, and you gotta do it the right way and avoid a lot of pain and headaches down the line.
Just want to add one quick thing that I think makes it even more interesting, just tagging on to what you just said, is that a lot of people in NFTs and in Web3 are anonymous, or at least they try to be.
They think they are.
Exactly, they think that they are. A lot of the time they're not. But it's just going to add a level of complexity to the situation that I don't think we have with traditional LLCs and traditional corporations, is that people are trying to be anonymous. So how will government entities react to that concept? Will it be something that is allowed, permissible, or not? Probably not.
Definitely not.
So it's going to be interesting
They
to see
want their
how,
tax money.
It's going to be interesting to see how it evolves over time and how the government tries to add structure to these Web3 concepts, because Web3 concepts, like you said, they're basically just expansions of things that we already have. So it's going to be interesting to see how the IRS and the government basically says, okay, we like what you're doing here, but here's how we want to add some additional structure so that we can collect our taxes.
You got the taxes right, but real quick with the compliance. Web 5, the difference between Web 5 and Web 3 is add Web 2 to it. Jack made Web 5. And Web 5 is actually the solution for political candidates to receive crypto payments for their contributions. Advancing political candidates in the blockchain is the only way to advance the whole mass adoption. So this year, for the first time ever, right now, like Tuesday, I'm not going to go which candidate, but there's candidates in Florida that are receiving Bitcoin and Tezos because of the operations and Web 5. Now, if you want Tallahassee to wait for solutions and figure it out, like the governor said to the state agencies, they're not trying to do anything. They're still using Windows 95. So we, the people, are going to have to come up and say, hey, look what we did. We got elected with Bitcoin, and here's the file. We didn't steal from you. Here's the Web3 ledger. It's not dark money. It's the most transparent, okay? And now, it's going to take them 2 years to file a complaint, and by that time, we've already had another election, and by the time they bring us to the complaint, we'll just be pitching it to the new governor, okay? So Web 5 is happening. Web 3 is happening. So here's one real quick. You said we have a collective mission. Well, here's your collective mission statement. Take notes. We are a social enterprise collective learning and working together towards a sustainable future. All right? We're learning and working. Everyone here is learning this together. Okay? So as long as we show our homework, the teacher will be okay with it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And something else that's been a really big roadblock in the DAO space right now is that everybody's on a different part of their educational journey, right? So, like, let's say you start a DAO and you want to invite all your friends. You invite some friends that have been in crypto Web3 for the last year, since 2018, 2 months. How are you going to be educating them into the DAO and keeping them legal and taxes and having that shared mission? So, yeah, I mean, if you want to start a DAO, like, I definitely recommend doing your research first, but understanding the human psychology behind DAOs. So I did want to ask the panelists, like, if people are looking to start DAOs or just understand it a little bit more, like, what are some of the resources that they could find on the internet or on Twitter today?
I typically recommend using Ethereum.org. The Ethereum Foundation actually has some really, really good resources, not just for DAOs, but just for understanding what the blockchain is, what Web3 is, how do you secure your funds on MetaMask and things like that. Really important stuff, especially as you're getting involved with DAOs, because you start building this virtual identity for yourself and you're involved with these organizations. You want to make sure you're doing it in a very, very safe way. I have to give a plug for hardware wallets. Please, if you have any substantial amount of crypto, please use a hardware wallet. But in general, I would recommend the Ethereum Foundation. They have a lot of really good resources.
I'm kind of new school. I really think LinkedIn and TikTok is the algorithms where the people I want to be like are putting out their content, and coming to this crypto conference and meeting Little Joey, and the Adventures of the Potato People, the 11-year-olds, there's 4 of them with their NFT wallet. It's so important that you can say, I'm more excited about getting on this guy's blockchain than the latest PhD, and I got a couple of them working for me. I'm not subscribing to their PhDs and their publications, but I'm subscribing to this 11-year-old's wallet, what he's going to do when he's 12 and 14. So I really think if this is an organic community from the heart, it's asking people who are the people we want. And now I'm not trying to go to blockchain wars. I'm not an Ethereum guy. I'm a Tezos guy. IPFS. This is Florida. We have the space thing, interplanetary filing system. That sounds cool. So I'm promoting that blockchain. So do your homework. Which step one on any blockchain is read the white paper. So if you don't own Bitcoin white paper, if you haven't read the Bitcoin white paper, you shouldn't own Bitcoin. That goes for Ethereum, Tezos, and Shiba, whatever. So that's my answer.
And Betty and Jared, like, you guys are working with clients every day. What resources do you provide your clients, or what do you tell them? Like, hey, this is where you can find resources, or do you guys give them suggestions for different DAO models? How does that work?
So resources, I mean, it's a CPA firm. We're always staying on top of IRS rules, regulations, codes, and we work with IRS agents, attorneys in this space, trying to learn. We're always learning. We put out our own material, but I'm going to say there's some great stuff out there on TikTok. There's some horrible stuff out there on TikTok. So, it's like WebMD. Like, oh, do I have cancer? Well, probably not. Maybe ask someone who actually knows. So don't necessarily take tax advice from TikTok. You can learn about the space in general, but if you need real tax advice, look up CPA firms, look up law firms. Some of the software like Coinly, TaxBid, they put out a lot of fantastic information, but get it from a reliable source.
Woo!
Woo! Yeah.
I agree with that. I mean, I give it some general literature because no one really wants to read more legal stuff. Then that's why they hire the lawyer. But I'll give an overview of sort of like the DAO and sort of like the broad strokes in like a checklist, just so they could. There's some business people, they just want to hand it off and be like, go with it. Other times, and a lot of the clients I've seen in this space, they're very entrepreneurial, like almost. I mean, I graduated. I'm going to date myself here. Graduated college in 2000, so I was like Google 96 and everything like that .com. So it's like it's that wave of sort of entrepreneurialism that I'm seeing with this group, and so they don't want to listen. They want to have an understanding. They want to be lawyered up. That's what I'm here for. But I go to stuff like Cointelegraph and even Coinbase, and honestly, that's where I'm getting a lot of my information, just even on the legal side. And then there's actually 2 or 3 people on LinkedIn, colleagues of mine in New York, and there's this really great NFT lawyer, not competition to me because I would refer him to people. He's such an upper echelon. His name's Enrico Schaefer, and he puts out great content, even has a YouTube channel, which I follow. So I get education from my peers, and they're, I'm doing 19 million things. They're focusing on the practices and putting out content, and it's like I can go to them on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, and while my kids are playing in the pool, watch the YouTube channel and catch up on what transpired. I mean, even today, Brandon was asking me a question about something I didn't even know about, just because there's so much going on, and as Bet would say before, it's like we're on the bleeding edge, and that's what accountants, attorneys, people in the NFT, Web3 and DAO space, actually going through the motions and being burned on both sides, but also learning and educating. That's what we're all here for. And just like Bonnie said, we're all being educated at different time frames, and some people are more advanced, some people are less. And what I find in all these conferences I've been through, that Scotty has set up as SMR Production, shout out right there, drop the mic, no? All right, I gotta laugh. That everyone here has something to offer, and you don't know who you're going to run into, and just have an open mind, and you'll get something out of it. Even if you're at one event and you speak to one person that opens your mind up, points you in a direction, or brings you up to speed, you're educating yourself for the better.
Yeah, I love that. And just to do a quick summary of what we just covered, basically find a news article or a newscast that you really relate to, or even like Cointelegraph. What's the other big one that's CoinMarketCap? CoinMarketCap? CoinDesk, yes. How'd you know? Yeah, so CoinDesk is actually one of my favorite. That's how I got onboarded. But also join a DAO, or just find a way to be surrounded by DAO people. So DAO Masters is a great resource that you guys can check out. Seed Club is an accelerator for DAOs, and they have tons of articles on what to do before starting a DAO and how to build a great DAO that's best for you. And yeah, so I know we covered what a DAO was, how to really start a DAO, and how to get educated, but like let's talk about like the good and the ugly. So we'll start off with the ugly, that way we can have a happy ending here and figure it out. So what is like the ugliest part about starting a DAO, or the hardest part?
The hardest part is building a genuine, authentic community that understands your core mission. And anybody can throw 2,000 names in the email list and start blasting off, but we have to have these conversations one-on-one. Zoom calls, not just blast emails, click here. We have to understand it. So I give big shout out to the Bitcoin meetup group out of Tampa, the Bitcoiners. They're the longest Bitcoin group in Florida. So that's where I get my closed information. I've been part of a lot of closed networks, and I'm a lot of free networks. And I gotta tell you, that free network on Wednesday night, I get a lot of information there.
I don't like to think about it in terms of like good and bad as much as just there are very interesting questions about how DAOs should operate. So I'll give you an example. So traditionally, organizations again had leadership that controlled the treasury. But with DAOs, what the original core mission is to have smart contracts basically govern what happens. So if everyone votes on a certain action, if they want to invest in a certain product, they would go to a vote. The smart contract would automatically, theoretically, transfer the funds to the recipient of that vote or of whatever they're investing in. So there's a lot of good and bad there, right? As you can imagine, if something goes wrong with the smart contract and it's wired into the code, what happens if the money goes to the wrong place? What happens if there is an exploit in the code? It actually did happen. I think it was 2016 or 2017, the original DAO, it was called the DAO. It actually caused a huge commotion in Ethereum, and it caused what's called a hard fork in Ethereum. So that's why we have Ethereum Classic and Ethereum the way we know it today. And it was because of an exploit in the smart contract that governed the DAO. There was, I think, $150 million in this DAO that kind of popped up over a 30-day period. So it brings up interesting questions about, what should we be doing in terms of controlling the flow of a treasury in a DAO? Who should have control over it? Should the smart contract have control? Should the people have control? Those things are going to play out, I think, over the next couple of years as new tools are developed to manage DAOs. But it brings up really interesting philosophical questions about how are we going to go about building the technology that actually runs DAOs? So there's good and there's bad.
We have a case we're dealing with right now. A client has set up a DAO pay-to-play metaverse game, and we have the question, and we haven't quite gotten an answer yet, but is all 200 players that are token owners of this DAO, are they all LLC members? Are they all getting a K1? Do they know that that's a possibility? When they want to hand out earnings to everybody and share it, what is that? Is it compensation? Is this taxable? So there's so many questions, and what you call things matters, especially to accountants. We have some very specific words that have specific meanings and have tax implications, where you might say, oh, we're going to give out interest payments. Are they really interest? That has a lot of really detailed implications, and you might just mean like, oh, we're just going to airdrop some coins, and it might not even matter at all. But you have to be so super careful with how you do these things and how you set them up. That's why we're here.
53 seconds, is that correct? I'm only going to take like 10, no, 15, 18, 17. I'll just wind it down. No. I think my situation really is I'm seeing more, and it goes to the privacy and the responsibility matters, where I have clients come in and they have very good intentions and they want to essentially protect themselves, protect their families, but they also want to have that entrepreneurial spirit. And we get into a DAO situation, and I get a lot of times like internal shifting sort of questions, like, and it makes me, and I can have the attorney-client communication ask of them, say, what are you trying to get at? It's like, Are you trying to go down a path where you're setting your company or your community up for failure, or in case you do fail, how to make sure that you're protected? And I respect that, but it's almost like, you know, you're coming into this, and it goes to you know, the panelists over there is like, you know, we're a community, and you want to be a part of something, and just because you have a DAO, just because you DAO it up doesn't mean you're going to be DAO great. You know, I just made that up. Not that funny. It's so bad.
Let me say real quick, Florida had a big black eye this year with what happened in Tampa Bay, and I'll go ahead and say it. Celsius happened. We had a lot of good people lose good jobs, and you know what? I'm going to give a plug. You know why my buddies aren't worried about that? Is because we use Tezos. All right, our system is safe, and we're happy with that.
Awesome. All right, so right before we finish, I do want to leave with on a positive note. So what are the best parts about starting a DAO, like the endless possibilities for the future?
I think it's pretty clear. I mean, it allows people to collaborate with complete strangers safely over the internet. So you can launch something with participants in you know, dozens and dozens of countries from around the world. You've never met them before, and you're building something incredible. So I think that, for me, is the most exciting part about all this.
Yeah, I love collaboration, and where we're at in our multiverse with the interplanetary, we're building the blockchain of the future and unlocking human creativity and what can be when we have a philosophical pivot from what can we take from a system to what can we artistically contribute. It will be a completely better world.
You know, when you create something new, there's so much opportunity. So that's exciting to be part of.
I think I'll piggyback on what Beth says, is that, you know, the opportunity to be here, to educate, to enjoy myself, laugh a little bit at my own expense because no one else is laughing. Thank you. A little bit. I enjoy this. I'm enjoying the opportunity to learn from you guys. You know, people come out to me after and ask me a million questions. I don't mind taking them, you know, because it's about getting to know those people. And it's almost like, I said, go back to '96 when I was at Tulane as a freshman. It's just like, it's a brand new world again, and everyone has, I think these opportunities come around once or twice in someone's lifetime, and we're well in the beginning. Everyone has an opportunity again in this world to make money and to do it at their own pace, and do it for also what they love and what they have passion for. You know, they may be at the 9 to 5, you know, to put food on the table, but the rest of the night and the weekends could be putting towards something that they have a passion about, and really, make a better place for their family and for the people around the world.
Awesome. Thank you guys, and thank you guys all for being here. If you do have legal questions, hit up Jared. Tax questions, hit up Betty.